Probably keep this on the draw. My opponent has kept 7. Let's see what they're up to. Sprague bring in the white. I don't know. We have played white, and I really think that the problem with white is you have to cut a lot of your Phyrexian towers. And the towers have been really, really good. And you just lose a lot of speed, which is kind of the problem with this archetype in general, is the speed. Yeah, the 1 of Quill. 2 Quills, you won't win. 1 Quill, you're unstoppable. They take Emperor of Bones. Maybe they're a graveyard deck themselves. They have a pause in my draw step. Well, I'm not going to take Atraxa. I don't know, maybe the draw step pause doesn't mean anything, because why would you need the draw step pause to ghost? But I mean, you don't need to ghost anyways. Right, so and it's not like my hand is super, it doesn't matter all that much. I did mill the Archon, so I'm going to go ahead and persist the Archon. It's a little bit awkward because they can possibly discard Atraxa, but we just saw their hand and they didn't have a Gorios a second ago. Yeah, it could be on from last game. How often have you used the rummage ability to put an Archon in the yard? Several times. It's a big part of this archetype in general. We've played this deck with Crypt of Agadeem and Archon, but we just didn't have the tech of the. Did they top deck Gorios? No, we didn't have the tech. We didn't have the Stitcher tech, and maybe it's enabled with Strixhaven, more so from Avatar, really. Yeah, tower just speeds you up so much. I think you really need to be on a bunch of towers. So yeah, I guess the Archon discard didn't matter. They could just discard Archon anyways, or discard Atraxa anyways. Don't you think this would be kind of a good victimized deck, maybe over Soulstone? I kind of view Soulstone as a mandatory land. Like when I'm thinking of this just as a land in my mana base that is kind of uncuttable. But the card Victimize is pretty rough. You need a lot of stuff to be going well for you. Oh, I guess now they can sack their Solitude. This is kind of weird. Sorry, I guess this is they have a Riddler in the Warp Zone that they didn't need to have. Yeah, Victimize is a card that has not tested well because of this. It's you just need so much going on for you compared to just other. It's just worse than Emperor and it's worse than Persist, and you're not that interested in more reanimation effects. So they play another Riddler. My Crypt of Agadeem is making 7 mana. The harnessing of the Soulstone could come up this game, especially because they're Thoughtseizing my Overlord here. I do need to draw a creature to use the Soulstone. I mean, I have the Trawler, but I don't have enough mana to Trawler. They took Trawler? Pony, I can get the Trawler back with this Overlord this turn. Okay, well now we're just going to be now they're going to go, oh, you're so lucky. You top-decked Emperor of Bones. Although there was already an Emperor of Bones in the yard. Wow, so lucky. Okay. Yeah, I think we're just going to game 2. Need to remember that the ability on this is instant speed. But yeah, I think that this card is maybe mandatory is not the right word, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong that it's just a good mana source in this deck, but in a deck with 11 1-mana black cards, in a deck that has a lot of extra mana for the extra ability, I just think you just kind of think of it as a really good land in your deck. Didn't want Crypt mana there. So the problem with Crypt mana with Emperor is that if you go make 10 mana on your turn, I wouldn't have had the mana to get back the Archon of Cruelty to just kill them there. I needed to break it up. So Emperor plus Crypt can be kind of awkward sometimes, but it's usually an abundance of riches, right? Where if you have Emperor plus something to get back, and you also have Crypt and a bunch of mana, and it's a little awkward together, it's kind of fine because the game's going well for you. Otherwise, you can just pick one. So this hand needs a way to sack the Eyetwitch, maybe, but we'll definitely keep. I know you've been missing the Poet's Quo. You know what? I have not been missing Poet's Quo. I was told I need the Poet's Quo, and I was told that it learns and it's an equipment that that gives lifelink. But despite this, I've defiantly chosen to not play it. So we draw a Phyrexian Tower. We can reanimate Archon next turn. Could also go to discard, but probably won't be. Want to get these crypts going. I drew it, so I guess I drew it, so I guess we'll do it. Yeah, Agadeem must have been very famous to have needed 4 crypts. The one way I see cool coming up is with Rest in Peace. Well, at least right now in this meta, like Rest in Peace is just not, it's not relevant. People don't play it. Now they might discard Atraxa and Gorios me, so you know. And they discard Gorios, and then they're gonna Atraxa me. Your deck is playing white, it's playing Flayed, so you can't play Rip. Yeah, exactly. Like, Rest in Peace is just not a modern card. So if they find a Solitude, they need to Solitude before I untap, because then I can sack my Archon to Tower maybe and then reanimate it again. They do have the Solitude. They pitch another Ephemerate, so they have really bounced back well here. I've got 2 black creatures in my graveyard right now. Seems like I just probably want to go Impending Overlord and play a tapped Crypt. Let's get back straight. We didn't mill any creatures again. So next turn, even if we go cycle, I guess we can go cycle Street Wraith, and then we can go Eyetwitch, discard Trawler, and then that would give us 6 mana after we Crypt. Sack Tower gives you 4 potential cards for Crypt. Then you could Emperor into Solitude. I won't have the mana to, like, I'll make too much mana at sorcery speed, wouldn't I? Yeah, you make too much mana at sorcery speed to Emperor the Solitude that turn. Cycle the Wraith. Test. So let's go get the Decorum Dissertation again. Dissertation kind of nice against the Solitude deck. You get the extra life points. The Dissertation has been good. I was a little bit skeptical, but it has been good. All right, so now these are tapping for +2 mana. Doom with the 70 months. Good to see you, buddy. So they have Mending in a turn. Let's see if an Atraxa enters the graveyard. They discarded a Gorios earlier, so they usually you hold on to 1 and you discard only if you have 2. So they discard a Gristlebrand. So it seems like we're going to get hit for a bunch. Dang, I thought I was doing so good this game. We still have game 3. If we do lose this one, we might still win. So I'm down to 9, and then I get to Dissertation myself for 2 more cards down to 7. Maybe they'll draw 14 more cards and they'll die to my Dissertation. Wait, how do you get a NASA tag? This was awarded to Twitch users who watched NASA's Artemis 2 mission around the moon. I watched a little bit of it. I don't think I have it. Dang it. That is pretty cool. I didn't watch enough. Have we cast True Ancestry out of the wishboard? True Ancestry. Not yet. So far, like the fact that this has to exile your own creature, this has been so bad. This has been so bad. So my opponent did go to 1. So I do have a lethal spell on the stack for next turn if they don't Solitude their own thing. So they do Solitude their own Gristlebrand. Murder Downshade Sewer card. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you need it. There was one spot against Boros where like, maybe we should have gone for it. So they're going to discard 15 cards. Barely an inconvenience. I do think I'm going to make myself draw 2 here. Or on my main phase, I'll make myself draw 2. What happens if they force a negation this? Exile the spell. After you first resolve a spell with a name, you may cast a copy of it from exile with paying mana cost at the beginning of each. So even if they like counter it, it continues to go off. Crazy and hidden ephemerate. They only had 2 left. Oh yeah, did they not play their land this turn? Yeah, I think they missed their land drop. I think you're right. Unlucky to not have found a land in the top 20 or top 14. Oh wait, no, they discarded lands. What the heck? So they discarded a Strict Serenade, so they almost definitely have another copy here. They did not discard. I guess they already have an Atraxa. So I didn't draw a 1-mana creature. So I think I'm just supposed to Thoughtseize. I go to 5, which is not 0. Not 0 with the Riddler attack. Okay, they Force of Negation this. So I guess let's go make 5 mana. Now this is gonna lock me off of. Maybe no, I need to get the Graveyard Hate down. I can cast the Archon next turn. So let's go ahead and go cast Trawler with the intention of using this as bait for Strict Serenade. And then that puts an extra creature in the graveyard. And now I can go play another Trawler. Maybe I should have Emperor first. This probably doesn't matter at this point. Just dump that out and then not exile anything. I think we're going to win this one. This takes down to 2. They have 5 cards in their hand, probably another Goryo's. And then like 3 mystery cards here. They play a land for turn. They're surveilling. They do probably have a pretty high quantity of Atraxas left in the deck, although they just leave a card on top here. Okay, then they pass back. Let's go ahead and draw more cards. Shout out 0 mana spells. This Citrus Supplier is literally better than Black Lotus. I'm gonna cast an Archon of Cruelty. I guess this could maybe let them discard Atraxa. All right. Cool game. All right, let's keep this. We might end up persisting the Troll, but I think I'm just going to Thoughtseize turn 1. My hand isn't very weak to this Thoughtseize. I feel like my deck is also just doesn't care about Bowmaster very much. Like I do like with Archon I'm drawing. Yeah, I guess I'll still take the Thoughtseize. Maybe we're supposed to take Sync. Sync is kind of good against the Troll. And they graveyarded Polluted Delta. Can I get on the prof's channel to teach him to love Modern again? I don't know. I mean, I want people to like what they like. I'm a big believer if you're not liking a format, you just shouldn't play it. If you're not liking a game or not liking a book, just just try something else. It's a big world out there. You don't have to make yourself like something. Unless you're in this chat and you are a fan of the Quill. Or you're a Golgari player and there's a card called Delanian Fell. Yeah, so I guess if they sink the troll, we just cycle it again and then we persist it again. Not very good in a lot of matchups, pretty good against Dimir decks. Let's go to combat. My opponent can play another Bowmaster and then triple block if they want, so that's going to be okay. All right, they do not want. Professor Delian Fell is shark food for Golgari players. If you play to him, you got to try the Professor. Yeah, it's crazy how optimistic people are about that card. I really don't. I don't want to be such a downer about it. But people they really want that card to be good. Okay, so will they sink? Will they Bowmaster? They Bowmaster. How do we feel about trading an Emperor for a token? Probably not all that good. How do we feel about getting Kaito'd when they bounce the Orc army? That's probably okay. It's an LSV's Vintage Cube. I mean, I think new Planeswalkers are fun to put in Cube. I just don't think this card is playable. If only I had a 4-mana way to give lifelink here. I don't think that exists in... Or like a 4-mana way to gain 3 life every turn. That would be really good on this board. Whoa. Okay. So they're basically at 6. I think I'm just sending with everything. They have to chump block an Emperor. Dude, Whip of Erebos goes hard. Yeah, so they have to block an Emperor. They block this one. So one downside to activating here is that maybe it's not a downside, but they're still dead to either Emperor next turn. I think I'll still go ahead and put them to 2. I think if this is just in play being a 4/4, it's going to be pretty good, and then it's possible I will need to attack for less than chunks of 4 at some point this game. So we've got 2 lethal attackers. They do have 2 chump blockers. Then they have 2 cards in hand. And they've got 2 life. And there's 2 players of this game. And Modern Horizons 2 was the best of the Modern Horizons set. And someone's going to gift 2 subscriptions right now. Right, I attack. I only have the 1 Surveil land. Oh, I guess we did get to... We forced the chump block, so maybe... So they would be at 4, but I'd have a Bowmaster here. I guess that was... Maybe it was just better to try to get the Bowmaster next turn. Any info on why they run red? Typically, it's for sideboard Fire Magic / Meltdown. I'm not the biggest fan of splashing it off of a Surveil. It's not not awful. All right. Thanks, look numbers. For the 2 gifted subs. They have a 3rd Bowmaster, so they get to kill one of my Emperors. Let's go. Alright, so they have a Bowmaster, I've got an Emperor, I've got 7 life, there's still a 2. They top deck a Frog. Don't think my life total is super duper in jeopardy. Neither is fetching to thin usually all that important, but let's make them lose their Bowmaster. Too bad we don't have a Phyrexian Tower. I love these like really scrappy games like this when it just gets to top decking and we're just playing little dorky creatures. This was always like my favorite dynamic of Modern in like 2016. Just be top decking like your Tarmogoyfs and your Electrolyzes and your Snapcaster Mages and your Abbots of Carol Keep and your Lightning Bolts, and I don't know, just you don't get to play games like this that often. So they pass back. Is it good to play Supplier first and try to find Cling to Dust? Doesn't seem like it's going to matter a lot. Shieldred could have a spot in a deck like this, maybe. Shieldred's usually not good if your card advantage engine isn't revolving around drawing a lot of cards. So they fly the Frog so that they can block the Eyetwitch. Subbing because no ad sounds nice. It is definitely nice. You can, if you don't know, you can subscribe to help support the stream and watch ad free, or you can just hang out. Time to dissertation my opponent. I mean, I guess I don't know how. I'm confused how the concession took so long there if they had nothing, but I guess I was gonna get the like 3 mana discard 2 deal 2 damage instead. Maybe it's the same thing. This one's just better against Spell Pierce. Yeah, so Spymaster's Vault I do think is good in this deck. That's a good question. I cut it because I wanted to add more Trawlers. So basically, like I cut Spymaster's Vaults to max out on Trawlers. I think Trawler is really important for milling over more creatures with Supplier and then also finding lands off Overlord. And then when you're playing 4 Trawler, 4 Crypt, 4 Phyrexian Tower, all of a sudden your swamp count's really low, so your Spymaster's Vaults are going to enter tapped, but also if you're going to play the green splash, then the rest of your lands need to be like fetches and fetchables. So I didn't feel like I had the room. I didn't feel like I had the room to play the Spymaster's Vaults and have like enough swamps for it to enter untapped. I do think it's a good card in this deck, but this deck is already playing infinite utility lands, and something's got to get edged out. Lead on the swamp. Especially like when you're adding more like possible tap lands in your Crypt of Agadeem deck, it can be just kind of awkward. All right, let's take the Kaito and try to fight through the counter magic. The Song of Creation Gamer trophy. Nice. How do you like? Is it already posted? Like, how do you know? Are you the Song of Creation Gamer? I play your old Mono White Hideaway at LGS Weekly. I get a lot of scrappy games because I cut the 4 Emeralds for 4 White Overlord. A lot of fun. Nice. How are you playing a Force of Virtue? I do like the scrappy games. All right, so let's go. I think just Stitcher Supplier and then Crypt of Agadeem probably. Although maybe I want to run the... No, I think I want to get the Crypt down before I start sacking stuff to Tower. It's in the 5-0 dump. I guess I didn't realize the 5-0 dump. I don't really look at the 5-0 dumps that much. I didn't know they were that fast. So they have a Snare of a Despair, a Strandair, and a Counter Snare. Sorry about that. Let's go Tower, sack Supplier, see what we mill. Okay, we mill a bunch of creatures, nothing particularly good to reanimate. I'm going to go cast Emperor of Bones, see if they want to... They probably will want to counter this. If they don't, that's okay. Yeah. Then I'm going to go persist on Emperor of Bones and see if they want to use the counter spell on this. Okay. Then we can play the Eyetwitch. So last game, I'd said I didn't really care that much about Bowmaster, and I guess that's mostly true, although if they have a Bowmaster against my Decorum Dissertation, I'm going to feel like a idiot here. Their hand is Force of Despair, 2 mystery cards, and then they played Steam Vents untapped. So let me surveil first. There's a copy of Persist. Let's keep that on top. We can persist the Eyetwitch next turn if we want. Maybe I'll just make them discard 2 cards this turn. Maybe I don't need to do anything now. So I can go next turn 7, 8, 9, 10 mana. That's enough to go discard 3, persist. It's enough to do everything. I can make them discard 2, I can cast the persist, and I can cast the recurring Sign in Blood. So I think I could just pass. Seems good to start drawing 2 every turn. I really want my thing to resolve though. Dissertations in May. Yeah, I mean it's just bad into the Bowmaster still though. Was my point. So now making them discard 2, it doesn't seem all that good. Maybe they will fight over me trying to go. Yeah, let's go True Ancestry. Try to buy back Emperor of Bones to my hand. We also get a clue token, which is definitely nice to have on this board. And they let that resolve, so maybe they don't have a counterspell. So let's go persist the Eyetwitch, under the assumption that they don't actually have a counterspell. To learn. This persisting Eyetwitch is so cool, and then I'm gonna jam it here. And this is because they fought so hard over the Emperor earlier. I think that this is likely to resolve. Seems like they have a Bowmaster. No, Force of Negation. Okay. I guess I should have fetched. How's third flare? But I like the third flare. I think flare is like just really nice in this metagame. So maybe they're gonna hardcast their Riddler. Can you learn from exile? I don't think so. I think it's only from sideboard. So I think that was our one chance to play Decorum Dissertation this game. And then they Thoughtseize my Emperor. So we do have this clue token at least. And we have enough mana to hardcast, our Archon or whatever. Right, draw a card. Oh, I just noticed this is a flip-flop. Okay, I do find Emperor of Bones. So because this enters with a finality counter, if we get back our Eyetwitch, it doesn't really do anything, right? Not that I could sack at the tower this turn anyways. I think I'm just going to cast the Trawler. Maybe we could try to save Emperor Bones till we draw like an Overlord or an Archon and it gets countered, but then we can Emperor it back. These kind of games against control. Oh yeah, this is a good example of that. Like these kind of games against control where they're holding up a bunch of interaction and they've got 2 cards in hand for or like 2 cards in hand. You kind of sometimes just don't want them to get to use any card in their hand because then they're going to get to draw an extra card off Riddler on their draw step. Overgrown Tomb would have been a little better to get there, I suppose. This is not a really good example of that. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna save the Emperor until I find an Archon or an Overlord. I think I have to. I guess I could also find a Flare for the Riddler. Might lose game 2. Speaking of Avatar, I'm reading a world building book that a friend of mine got me. I'm like 80 pages in. I don't know what it's called or who it's from or who it's by. but it's referenced both Avatar: The Last Airbender a bunch and also Magic the Gathering. And I'm reading this book and it's just talking about Magic the Gathering complexity creep, and I'm like, I feel like I've never heard anybody talk about complexity creep besides me. Not that I listen to like that many people anyways, but it's like it was very weird to read like a random world building book and all of a sudden it's talking about Magic complexity creep. So I think I need to float the mana, because if this gets countered, I need to have the floating mana to play the Emperor if I want to activate it in combat. Obviously, we're not hoping this gets countered. It does resolve. So if they have nothing, one thing we could do is we could go sack Archon of Cruelty to Phyrexian Tower, and we could Emperor of Bones the Archon of Cruelty. My opponent discarded a Fatal Push just now. What's the book called? Yeah, maybe I'll bring it up tomorrow. I don't know what it's called, and I don't know who it's by. I just, like, a friend gave it to me and I've been reading it. Maybe remind me to grab it at the end of the stream. I can grab it. It's been pretty good. I've liked it. So they have a spell in their hand. They would discard a land over a Fatal Push. So it kind of has to be another one. Yeah, sack Archon Adapt is lethal. I think they have to have another Fatal Push in their hand. It could be Force of Negation. It could be like exactly Force of Negation. It just doesn't really make sense that for them to, have it. So I not have it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I think I'm gonna try to put them to 2 life. It could be Force of Despair. It could be Force of Despair. In which case, it's kind of a wash. It's interesting to me. Force of Despair is all of a sudden like very popular card. Yeah, I guess their card must be like, it must be Force of Negation if they haven't. I mean, I guess it could still be Force of Despair. Dang. So I suppose it was just bad to play the Emperor at all. Yeah, I guess it was just bad to play the Emperor at all there. Hard card to play around in general. So I can crack this fetch and still be on a 3-turn clock. I feel like it was underplayed. Maybe. We should have left the tower on a tap so we could readapt. We could fetch a swamp here, right? Or are we out of swamps? I have Overgrown Tomb at least. Yeah, I was gonna fetch swamp to readapt. So we could mill our 1 Cling to Dust. Although it'd be maybe a bit awkward into the Bowmaster. Seems like my opponent has drawn a counter spell. Let me see if I can just block. Also, if I if we find the Cling, it's still going to be good next turn. They have another Bowmaster right now. So this is lethal if I don't draw Cling to Dust. I guess we will wait to block. So we mill. No Cling to Dust. So we're going to game 3. On the play for game 3. Think Traumatic Critique and Flashback could give Braid of Fire some legs? Maybe. I was definitely a big Braid of Fire fan at one point. I thought Invoke Calamity would give it some juice, but just never really did. Yeah, maybe. Let's keep this on the play. I might end up surveilling if I don't draw a land off the Wraith. We'll see what we draw. I might surveil if I don't draw a land off the Wraith. We'll see what we draw. Okay, we'll just play the Crypt tapped then. That does sound pretty fun. I mean, okay, so Flashback and Braid of Fire are both pretty cool together. In my opinion, Braid of Fire is way too slow for today's modern. Yeah, I mean, so it's like you can think of it like 2 mana, cast a Rampant Growth every turn if your deck is like all instants. We sometimes have a lot of mana to do. Thoughts on +1 Cling to Dust? Yeah, I think you could add a Cling to Dust over the Fourth Emperor. Did you consider any copies of Requiting Hex as a way to kill Eyetwitch with Blight? I think you'd play Bone Shards instead, because it can also discard Archon if you wanted that kind of effect. We haven't seen one, although maybe it was just better to Surveil already. So I think I want to wait on the Overlord. Could be a good game to hardcast. Looked at any other flashback cards to mill over that could be good late game options when you're mostly top decking. I guess I don't know what you're asking. Like I know flashback spells in my head. What deck are we talking about playing them in? They Cling to Dust my Persist, which is to draw a card, which means I have the extra mana off the Crypt. You know, Resentful Revelation is a card that you could play in this deck and has also been good in Cabal Coffers. Like that's like an example of what you're talking about. So this is gonna be 5, 6, 7. So yeah, I can still. I guess let's just go and sack the Supplier because I don't think I'm casting my Learn card this turn. I think I'm gonna go. 8 mana now. I'm gonna go hardcast Overlord and be thrilled if it resolves, and then I milled over Archon so I can persist that if it doesn't resolve. Yeah, I mean I think like Cling to Dust and Resentful Revelation. These are the good cards, and you could play one of them. All right, so they do have a Force of Negation. They pitch a copy of Sync, so let's go ahead and get in for 1. One thing that's nice about being a Crypt of Agadeem deck like this is the crypts are good when they're active, but you're not like all in on assembling it like you kind of are when you're playing coffers. So we're gonna have 12 mana, which is 1 short of being able to hardcast Archon, and obviously Archon's a good draw. Hardcast Archon and cast my Dissertation, because that would be 13. So let's go for Ozai's Cruelty, I guess. Make them discard 2 of their 3 cards, and maybe they'll just counter this. But if they have a counter spell, then their hand will be empty for this. Although I guess they would have Cling. They cast Drown in the lock. Okay, I cast Archon. And they evoke Subtlety. Let's put it on top. And then next turn we'll have enough mana to go 5 mana less than plus Archon because we'll have another creature in the yard, the second Eyetwitch. They drew a land for turn. They do have a Cling to Dust. So I think I don't want them to break up my my Crypt of Agadeem with the Cling to Dust here. We'll just activate it now. So get the Dissertation and go. They counter Archon, you can use green lesson to get it back. Yeah, good call out. Maybe I should have just got the green lesson the first time. I did have an Archon in the yard. Kind of like a reanimation spell. At this point, I feel like we should be pretty good. I'll say that like maybe the first like 4 matches or something we didn't Dissertation. I was a little bit dubious on this effect, but it's been like really good, like several matches in a row now, even. What is that? Breathe Rate Strip? Yeah, we'll keep this. Definitely needs help off the top, but that's kind of the enablers. Is the green less an instant? If no, it's pretty bad against Cling. It's not, no. So it would have been bad into the Cling. Would you consider Airship in the deck? We have played Airship in this archetype before. And like Airship is fine. I'll say that like one thing on Airship is Airship got way worse once the modern metagame stopped revolving around Blink and went back to resolving around Boros and Prowess. So Airship is a card that I think is still interesting if you're playing Tower. We're playing Tower. It's still interesting if you can play it turn 2. It's still interesting in creature combo decks that can be fast enough to compete with other stuff. But it's not like as good I think as I thought it was. It definitely has some like more structural issues than we realized when we were first testing the card, because when we were first testing the card, it was just Blink the format. So we could keep this and we could make them discard 2, which is not great. It's not awful against their hand. Let me just graveyard it, I suppose. Do you feel the Black Paradigm is the best of them? I guess kind of, but like I don't really feel like it's has like much competition. I don't really think any of the other paradigms are like close to being playable in Modern, and this one is close because it goes with Eyetwitch and Phyrexian Tower. You know what I mean? What if Eyetwitch could take the place of Gran in the Blue-Black Professor deck? Loots, finds interaction, good blocker. I mean, Gran's been really good there. One thing about the Professor deck is like you really are trying to be you're really just trying to be a good deck that kind of happens to play this combo. So they have a Ral for next turn, but we have a Flare. I'm gonna go ahead and cling, I guess, Firebrain Scheme, since it's not one that they have redundancy for. Drew a Trawler. I guess we're just going to go Paradigm here. Or Dissertation. Chill 2. Thraben has been running the green Paradigm in his Eyeshadow Nickfit sideboard. Interesting. Yeah, I did win last round, though. You can see the record on the screen. So I presume they're going to play a Ral. They should play Ritual first, right? They have a Ritual in their hand, so I'm going to wait on the Flares just so I know that they can't make extra mana with the Ral. They can cast their Ritual, but they won't be able to do anything else after that. They did find another copy of Ral, although we do have another Flare in our hand. But they can go Ritual into Ral and then play something else. I do think now is the time. Have I tested or used a road much in Modern, or not for use due to land ramping? Yeah, so there is a deck that plays Path and Erode and Field of Ruin and Cleansing Wildfire and just tries to do that thing. That deck's fine. It's not really my style so much, but it is a deck you can play. As far as Erode as a removal spell, like I think it's probably a little worse than Path to Exile. Like it hits Planeswalkers, which is good, and it doesn't exile Flage, which is bad. So, you can kind of maybe decide for yourself. Oh, I have lethal. I just go Dissertation them, and I go Archon or Emperor the Archon and win. Cool. So you can decide for yourself if you think that that's better or if that's worse. Than Path to Exile. Path to Exile, you might notice, is not a very good Modern card in 2026. You can play Prismatic Ending, you can play Wrath of Skies, you can play Solitude as like your premier white removal spells. Prismatic Ending, Wrath of Skies, Solitude, these are your premier white removal spells. Leyline Binding if you're a domain deck, I guess. And I'm gonna play these for the most part, and not almost ever reach for Erode or Path to Exile unless I'm playing the like get all the lands out of your deck kind of deck. I don't think I like Ashiok very much. Break the Ice Ritual. Ritual's actually not the worst. I'll play one. Well, I guess I don't have anything dying to come out. Okay, maybe it's just Overlord's pretty bad. White March is pretty decent. So White March is when we start talking about Path to Exile in a Road, maybe it's a card that people play sometimes. I'm really not a fan. Like, the only card White March is like really good against in Modern is Urza's Saga. It doesn't line up really well against any other card. Are y'all keeping this on the draw against Storm? We have a bad matchup, and Thoughtseize is our best card by a lot, and we have 2 of them, and we have 3 looks. I'm going to keep. Just because we're on the draw against Storm, when you kind of have to have 2 Thoughtseizes to win anyways. So yeah, I mean, you can play White March. Like, it's another good white removal spell. You also have access to Flage in a lot of your white decks, which acts as a removal spell. Yeah, I agree that this is like kind of a mandatory keep in this like one's like weird specific matchup. If I draw a land, I might go Soulstone. Thoughtseize my own Archon. We'll see what their hand is like. Pretty good. All right, I did draw my Culling Ritual. I'm going to go and take their Reckless Impulse. That's true. Not just the land, huh? They have Pending Glimpse, Ritual, Mystery card. The Mystery card is a spell. We're going to go down to 9 life. We're going to go down to 7 life. So their Prismatic Ending is unlocked. All right, I think I'll go ahead and cycle a Cling to Dust. And not complaining, we drew our 1 land. Nonsense keep. So one thing about Modern is when you're playing against like specific combo decks that your deck is just kind of bad against, and this is a spot you'll find yourself in, I think, kind of often. You're playing against a combo deck, you're not that good against it. You have a lot of times very specific hands that can beat those decks, and we milled Archon, which is good. We milled 2 lands, which is kind of bad. You have very specific hands that beat those decks. In our deck, it's literally a double Thoughtseize hand is exactly what we want. On the draw with 2 Street Wraiths, we look at the land. I feel like it's like an actually like you just have to keep this hand in this matchup. I think I would just keep it again every single time. Move to discard time. I milled the Archon. Yeah, maybe going to discard was just good. I kind of wanted to like just bait one of the Prismatic Endings maybe. You think you're right. That was just better to discard because we need to just draw the land. Although now we already have the Archon in the yard, so I guess I'll play an Eyetwitch. I think they found something. They found a Valakut Awakening. They're out of surveils. The draw discard mode on learn can find land. Yeah, I mean, just we'll try to trigger that if somehow the Eyetwitches die. They play a second Ruby. They find Past in Flames. I think they have Past in Flames. So they have a Glimpse, a Valakut Awakening. Yeah, that's not enough to concede to. They hit 2 Rowls and another Glimpse. That's getting close to conceding to. They start off with Awakening, which I don't think makes a lot of sense. I think you just almost always want to play your Rowl before casting instants or sorceries. I think they had enough to flip the Rowl. Maybe they didn't. So they'll cast a Glimpse. They cast Reckless Impulse from their hand for 1 instead of Glimpse from exile. And then they flip the Rowl. Okay, let's go ahead and pack it in. And we're on the play for game 3. I would keep again. Mind Root Source. Your target player discards 2 cards, put up to 1 land discarded this way into the battlefield tapped under your control. I like that card a lot. It's not like, I don't think it's playable in Modern. Probably not Standard either, but I think that card's pretty sick. Okay, so this hand can discard the Archon. It could also be a Mind Rot turn 2. Could find Disenchant for Ruby Medallion if they play that turn 2. I think we'll keep. Obviously, it just does a lot of stuff. All right, gonna play the Twitch. On Twitch. drew another one. So I was thinking I was gonna sack it to Tower, Impending Overlord, play it again. I might just make them discard 2, honestly. Or you know what? The discard mode is the discard spell, the 2-mana one to like get Ruby or Ral or Artist Talent out of their hand. That's probably what I want here. I guess the Earthbend mode on this is maybe relevant with like face down Trawler. I guess you can't lose it. Okay, so they have double Ruby and they've got Impulse. At least we get to take. They have double Impulse too. Dang, very strong hand. I am glad to be able to take the Ral, I guess. They have Wear Tear, which can kill my Overlord. Doesn't really do anything else. Earthbending mode lets you sack tower to itself. Oh, right, of course. Yeah. Okay, let's loot away the Archon. Although, maybe we should have done this first in case we found Emperor of Bones. They found another Ral, which I guess I'm gonna take. We did not find an Archon. I'll take another Eyetwitch. So yeah, I guess so you could go Earthbending your Trawler, sack at the Tower, and then just use that as instant speed Graveyard Hate in the stack. All right, so they Impulse, they hit a Manamorphose, they hit an Arid Mesa, they play the Arid Mesa. They Impulse into 2 Rituals. As far as we know, they have all mana now. Although they immediately cast a Ritual, so that's probably not the case. I think they're about to cast Past in Flames, which I think I'll concede to. They get to see 7 more cards. Yeah. All right, I think it's lunchtime. I'll say Eyetwitch. Good. I like this deck. I would definitely play it again. If we don't have anything for the challenge this weekend, maybe we'll play it. Obviously, big congrats. Hold on. Let me shout out the player again who, yeah, it was a Shock Chan who built the deck and went undefeated in the Showcase Challenge. Clearly, Deceit and Poet's Quill are the method to going undefeated. I like the changes we made. I could see playing an extra Cling to Dust. Cling to Dust is, I mean, the card's just really, really good in big mana decks with the self-mill. I think I liked the lesson package a lot. I don't know that I'd touch it a lot. I think I want to try the learn package, and I want to try it in Soul Trader. I think that is kind of like the other shell you could play it in. You could play Crypt of Agadeem still. I don't think Crypt of Agadeem is mandatory in Soul Trader because your mana curve is a lot lower. But I'm gonna try to build that tonight. Maybe I won't get anywhere with it. We'll see. But that's gonna be pretty high on my to-do list. But that's gonna be my stopping point for today. I'm gonna go eat some lunch. Let's raid Doomwake, who is in here today. The standard brews will continue until morale improves.